Rain hammered against the windows of the Toronto Registry office, each drop a countdown to the moment Sophia Bennett's life would no longer be her own. At 23, she stood in a borrowed cream dress, her auburn hair pinned back, hands trembling as she signed her name beside his. Alessandro Moretti. 32, CEO, stranger, husband. His slate blue eyes never left the paper, his jaw set like carved stone. The suit he wore cost more than her father's entire debt, the debt that had brought her here. When the officiant pronounced them married, Alessandro didn't kiss her. He simply nodded, pocketed the marriage certificate, and walked toward the exit. Sophia followed, her sneakers squeaking against the marble floor. The drive to his Yorkville penthouse was silent except for the rain and the low hum of the engine. Alessandro's driver navigated the slick streets, while Sophia clutched her single suitcase, staring at the city lights bleeding through the wet windows. She had left behind her barista job, her half-finished sociology degree, her dreams of opening a community art studio. All of it traded for her father's freedom. "You have everything you need?" Alessandro's voice cut through the silence, smooth and controlled. "I have what I could carry," Sophia replied, keeping her gaze on the window. He said nothing else. The penthouse stretched endlessly before her. Polished marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the glittering skyline, furniture that screamed wealth and distance. This wasn't a home. It was a fortress. Alessandro stood by the windows, a glass of amber liquid in his hand, his back to her. The city lights cast shadows across his broad shoulders. "Your room is down the hall," he said without turning. "I had it prepared." Sophia gripped her suitcase handle tighter. "Thank you." He turned then, his gaze locking onto hers. There was something in his eyes, not cold calculation, but curiosity. Challenge. "Get some rest," he said. "Tomorrow we discuss expectations." She walked past him, her pulse racing, and found the bedroom. It dwarfed her old apartment. A plush rug warmed the floor. An armchair sat by a window overlooking the CN Tower. She changed into her simple cotton nightgown, the one piece of her old life that felt safe. Standing by the window, arms crossed, she stared at the leather sofa in the corner. He would sleep there, she told herself. Distant and detached. Marriage on paper, nothing more. The silence pressed against her ears. Then she heard it. The soft click of the door. Her eyes snapped to the doorway. Alessandro stood there, his suit jacket gone, sleeves rolled up, his slate blue eyes locked onto hers. A faint smile tugged at his lips, both amused and challenging. "You really thought I'd sleep on the couch?" His voice was a low rumble, smooth as velvet but edged with steel. He stepped into the room, stopping just inside the threshold, his presence filling the space. The scent of sandalwood and something darker, intoxicating, drifted toward her. Sophia straightened, her bare feet firm on the rug, her chin lifting. "I thought you'd keep your distance. This is just a contract, isn't it?" His smile deepened. "It's more than that, Kara. This is our home, and I'm not a man who sleeps on couches." Her pulse raced, his words hanging between them, heavy with unspoken meaning. He didn't move closer, but the air crackled with tension. "Sleep well, Piccola," he said, his voice low, almost tender. "Tomorrow, we'll start to learn who you really are." He turned, leaving the door ajar, his footsteps fading down the hallway. Sophia exhaled, her hands unclenching, the room suddenly too quiet. She had underestimated Alessandro Moretti, and in that moment, she realized he might have underestimated her too. Her life had changed forever. And the man who had just walked away was no longer just a name on a contract. Sunlight poured through the penthouse windows, painting the Toronto skyline gold. Sophia woke to the smell of coffee, and the memory of Alessandro's voice in the doorway. "You really thought I'd sleep on the couch." She dressed in jeans and a soft gray sweater, her auburn hair loose, and ventured into the main living area. Alessandro stood at the kitchen island, his back to her, scrolling through stock charts on a tablet. He wore a fitted white dress shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, and the casualness clashed with the cold CEO she'd met yesterday. She cleared her throat. He turned, his slate blue eyes locking onto hers, a faint smile forming, "Morning, Sophia," he said, pouring coffee into a second mug. "I trust you slept well?" Her cheeks warmed. Well enough. She took the mug, their fingers brushing briefly, sending a jolt through her. She pulled back, gripping it tightly. "You're up early. Business doesn't sleep. Neither do I." He nodded toward a plate of croissants. "Eat. We need to talk." Sophia's stomach twisted, but she slid onto a bar stool. "Talk about what? The contract? My father's debt? Or the fact that we're strangers?" His smile widened. "All of it, cara mia. But let's start with the rules." He set his mug down, his posture shifting to something more commanding. "This marriage may have been born of necessity, but it's real. You're my wife. That comes with expectations." Her fingers tightened around the mug. "Expectations? Playing the perfect trophy wife while you parade me around?" His jaw tightened, but his tone remained calm. "You underestimate me, Sophia. I don't need a trophy. I need a partner, someone who can hold their own in my world." He leaned closer, his voice dropping. "You're not just a debt settled. You're a choice I made." Her breath caught. "A choice?" "You'll have everything you need. Clothes, allowance, access to my staff. But you'll also learn my business, my people. You'll stand beside me, not behind me." Sophia's mind raced. "And if I refuse?" His eyes narrowed. "You won't, because you're not the kind of woman who runs from a fight." The word stirred something deep inside her. "You don't know me, Alessandro. Then let's fix that," he said, his voice softer. "Tell me who Sophia Bennett is. Not the daughter of a gambler. Not my wife on paper, you." Her heart thudded. No one had asked her that in years. "I'm someone who believes in second chances. I wanted to open an art studio, a place where people could create, heal. I'm stubborn, probably too much for my own good, and I hate being told who I'm supposed to be." She met his gaze. "That's me. Your turn?" He didn't answer right away. Then slowly. "I'm a man who builds empires and buries mistakes. I don't trust easily, but when I do, it's absolute. I don't make deals I can't win." He paused. "But I also believe in loyalty, Sophia. Earn mine, and I'll give you the world." The air crackled, heavy with unspoken promises. 3 weeks passed. Alessandro kept his word. He brought her into board meetings, introduced her to investors, explained the intricacies of his empire. Sophia absorbed it all, surprising herself with how quickly she learned. She also surprised him. At a charity gala, when a business rival made a subtle jab at Alessandro's recent merger, Sophia stepped in, her voice cool and precise. "Mr. Carlson, if your portfolio was half as sharp as your tongue, you wouldn't need to rely on gossip for relevance." The table fell silent. Alessandro's eyes gleamed with something between pride and desire. That night, back at the penthouse, he poured them both wine. "You held your own tonight." "I told you I wasn't a trophy," Sophia said, taking the glass. He stepped closer, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from him. "I'm starting to see that." Their eyes locked. The air thickened. His hand reached up, fingers brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Sophia," he murmured, his voice rough. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He pulled back, his expression hardening as he read the screen. "I have to take this," he said, already moving toward his office. Sophia watched him go, her heart pounding, wine untouched in her hand. Later that night, unable to sleep, she wandered toward his office. The door was slightly ajar. She heard his voice, low and tense. "I don't care what it takes, Marco. The Bennett debt stays buried. If anyone finds out the real reason I married her, everything falls apart." Sophia's blood turned to ice. She can never know about the clause. If she discovers her father signed over more than just her hand in marriage, if she learns about the inheritance tied to our union, she'll leave, and I need her here. Her hand flew to her mouth, stifling a gasp. She backed away, her vision blurring with tears. The marriage wasn't about her. It was never about her. It was about money, control, an inheritance clause her father had hidden from her. Alessandro had played her from the start. She ran to her room, locking the door, her breath coming in sharp gasps. The man she'd started to trust, started to feel something for, had lied to her. Used her. A knock came at the door. "Sophia." She didn't answer. "Sophia, open the door." "Leave me alone," she choked out. Silence. Then his voice, softer now. "Please." She opened the door, tears streaming down her face. Alessandro stood there, his expression unreadable. "You heard?" he said. It wasn't a question. "Every word," she whispered. "You lied to me. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything. That's the same thing." Her voice cracked. "Was any of it real? The conversations, the partnership, the way you looked at me tonight?" He stepped closer, his eyes fierce. "All of it was real, Sophia. Every moment. How can I believe you?" "Because," he said, his voice breaking, "I didn't expect to feel this way about you. I didn't expect you to matter." She stared at him, heart shattering. "But I'm still just a deal to you." He reached for her, but she stepped back. "Don't." Alessandro's hand dropped. For the first time since she'd met him, he looked lost. "I'll sleep on the couch tonight," he said quietly. He turned and walked away, leaving her alone with the weight of his betrayal. The penthouse felt like a mausoleum. 5 days had passed since Sophia overheard Alessandro's phone call. 5 days of sleeping in separate rooms, of careful distance, of words left unspoken. He left for work before sunrise. She stayed up past midnight, staring at the city lights, wondering how something that felt so real could be built on lies. On the 6th morning, a woman appeared at the penthouse door, mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She introduced herself as Elena Rossi, Alessandro's attorney. "Mrs. Moretti," Elena said, her smile thin. "May I come in?" Sophia stepped aside, her stomach twisting. "Alessandro isn't here." "I know. I came to speak with you." They sat in the living room, the morning sun casting long shadows. Elena pulled a folder from her briefcase, setting it on the coffee table. "I assume you've learned about the inheritance clause," Elena said. Sophia's throat tightened. "I overheard a phone call." "Then you know your father's debt was more complex than Alessandro led you to believe." Elena opened the folder. "Your father didn't just owe money. He held shares in a company your grandfather founded. Shares that, according to your grandfather's will, would transfer to you on your marriage. Alessandro needed those shares to complete a merger." Sophia's hands clenched. "So he married me to steal my inheritance." "Not steal. Acquire." Elena's tone was clinical. "But there's more you should know." She pulled out another document. A photograph slipped out. Sophia picked it up. It showed a younger Alessandro, maybe 25, standing beside a woman with dark hair and a bright smile. Her name was Lucia, Elena said quietly. Alessandro's first love. They were engaged. What happened to her? She died in a car accident. The same accident that killed Alessandro's father. Elena paused. "The driver was your father, Sophia. He was drunk." The room tilted. Sophia gripped the edge of the couch. "No. The accident was covered up. Your father had connections, made it disappear from public record. Alessandro spent years searching for justice, and when he finally found the truth, he also found the inheritance clause. Marrying you was revenge and business in one move." Sophia's vision blurred. "He's been using me to get back at my father." "Initially, yes. But Alessandro is a complicated man. I've known him for 15 years. The way he looks at you now, it's different. He didn't expect to care." "That doesn't change what he did," Sophia whispered. Elena closed the folder. "No, it doesn't. But I thought you deserved the full truth before you decide what comes next." After Elena left, Sophia sat in the silence, the photograph of Lucia still in her hand. She understood now. The coldness in Alessandro's eyes when he first met her. The calculated precision. She was the daughter of the man who destroyed his life, and she had started to fall for him. The front door opened. Alessandro stepped in, his tie loosened, exhaustion etched into his face. He froze when he saw her. "Elena was here," Sophia said, her voice hollow, his jaw clenched. What did she tell you? Everything. Lucia. The accident. My father. She stood, the photograph clutched in her hand. You married me for revenge. Alessandro closed his eyes, then opened them, the slate blue darker now, storm-filled. Yes. The word hit her like a physical blow. At first, he continued, stepping closer. That's all it was. I wanted to take something from him the way he took everything from me. But then I met you, Sophia. And you weren't what I expected. What did you expect? Her voice cracked. Someone weak, someone complicit. But you're not. He stopped a few feet away. You're brilliant and stubborn and kind in ways I'd forgotten existed. And somewhere between the contract and now, you stopped being a pawn. Then what am I? She demanded. You're the woman I wake up thinking about. The one I can't stop wanting to protect, even from myself. His voice dropped to a whisper. You're everything I didn't know I needed. Tears spilled down her cheeks. How can I trust anything you say? You can't, he admitted, pain flickering across his face. I've destroyed that. But I'm asking you to try. Before she could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, his expression darkening. I have to take this. He answered, his voice sharp. What? Sophia watched his face drain of color. When? A pause. I'm on my way. He hung up, his hand shaking. Your father, he's been in an accident. Her world stopped. What? He's in the hospital. Critical condition. They drove through Toronto in tense silence, the city blurring past. At the hospital, a doctor met them in the hallway, his expression grim. Miss Bennett, your father's injuries are severe. He's asking for you. Sophia walked into the room, Alessandro behind her. Her father lay in the bed, tubes and monitors surrounding him. His eyes fluttered open when he saw her. Soph, he rasped. She took his hand. I'm here, Dad. I'm sorry, he whispered. For everything. The gambling, the debt, selling you to him. His gaze shifted to Alessandro. I know what you did, Moretti. I know why you married her. Alessandro's fists clenched, but he said nothing. Her father's grip tightened on Sophia's hand. There's something else. Something I never told you. He coughed, blood flecking his lips. The shares, the inheritance, it's all worthless. I sold them years ago to cover debts. There's nothing left. Sophia's breath caught. What? I lied to both of you. There's no inheritance. Never was. He looked at Alessandro. You married her for nothing. The machines beeped frantically. Nurses rushed in. Sophia was pulled back as they worked on him. When it was over, the room was silent except for the flatline tone. Her father was gone. Sophia stood in the hallway, numb. Alessandro approached, his face unreadable. He lied, Alessandro said quietly. There's no inheritance. So you got nothing, Sophia whispered. All of this, for nothing. He looked at her, something raw and broken in his eyes. No, I got you. She shook her head, stepping back. You don't get to say that. Not after everything. Sophia, I need space. From you. From all of this. She walked away, leaving him standing alone in the cold hospital corridor. Sophia moved through her father's funeral like a ghost. The small chapel in Little Italy was half empty. Few people came to mourn a man who'd gambled away relationships along with his money. She stood at the front, dry-eyed, staring at the closed casket. Alessandro sat in the back row. She could feel his gaze on her, heavy and persistent. But she didn't turn around. After the service, she walked out into the gray November afternoon. Alessandro followed, his footsteps echoing on the stone steps. "Sophia, please." She kept walking. "We need to talk. There's nothing left to say." She reached the curb, pulling out her phone to call a cab. His hand gently caught her wrist. "There's everything to say." She finally turned, meeting his eyes. They were bloodshot, haunted. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Let me go, Alessandro." "I can't." His voice broke. "I've tried. Every night. You've been staying at that hotel. I've tried to convince myself to let you go, to sign the divorce papers and walk away. But I can't, Sophia. Because somewhere in this mess, I fell in love with you." Her breath caught. "Don't." "It's the truth. The one honest thing I've given you." He released her wrist. "I married you for the wrong reasons. I used you. I lied. And I'll spend the rest of my life regretting that. But what I feel now, that's real." Tears burned her eyes. "How am I supposed to believe you? How do I know this isn't another manipulation?" "You don't," he said simply. "You have to choose to trust me, and I know I don't deserve it." A car pulled up. Marco, Alessandro's driver. But someone else stepped out. Elena, the attorney. "Alessandro," Elena called, her face pale. "We have a problem." They drove to Alessandro's office in silence. Elena spread documents across the conference table, her hands shaking. "The Carlson merger, the one you needed the Bennett shares for, it's collapsing. Without those shares, you're vulnerable. And Victor Carlson knows it." She looked up. "He's launching a hostile takeover. If he succeeds, you'll lose Moretti Enterprises. Everything your father built." Alessandro stared at the papers, his jaw tight. "How long do we have?" "The board votes in 3 days. You need majority support, but half the board is already siding with Carlson. He's offering them more money, better positions." Elena hesitated. "There's one option." "What?" "Sophia's name still carries weight. Her grandfather was a founding partner of Bennett Holdings before your father bought him out. If she publicly supports you, vouches for your leadership, some of the old guard might listen. It could sway the vote." Alessandro's face hardened. "No." "Alessandro, I said no. I'm not using her again." He looked at Sophia. "I won't ask that of you." Sophia's mind raced. She thought of everything Alessandro had built, the employees who depended on Moretti Enterprises, the legacy he fought to preserve. And despite everything, she thought of the man who'd stood in a hospital corridor and said, "I got you." "What do you need me to do?" she asked quietly. Alessandro's head snapped up. "Sophia, no." "What do I need to do?" she repeated, looking at Elena. "A press conference. Tomorrow. You speak on Alessandro's behalf. Explain that your marriage was about partnership, not acquisition. Make it personal, emotional. Remind them that Moretti Enterprises has always been about family, legacy." Elena paused. "But if you do this, Carlson will retaliate. He'll dig into your past, your father's history. It won't be pleasant." "I don't care," Sophia said. Alessandro stood, his chair scraping back. "I do. You've been through enough because of me. I won't let you sacrifice yourself for my mistakes." She met his eyes. "This isn't for you. This is for the people who work for you, for Lucia's memory. Because your father built this company with her father, and maybe it's for me too, to prove I'm not just a pawn in someone else's game." His expression cracked, raw emotion flooding through. "Sophia, I'm doing this, Alessandro. You don't get to stop me." The next day, Sophia stood before a room of reporters, camera lights blinding. Alessandro stood beside her, his hand hovering near her back, not quite touching. Elena had written talking points, but Sophia folded the paper and spoke from her heart. "My name is Sophia Moretti. 2 months ago, I married Alessandro under complicated circumstances. I won't lie to you about that. But what I've learned in these weeks is that Alessandro Moretti is a man of integrity, vision, and unwavering loyalty to the people who depend on him. He's made mistakes, as we all have, but his commitment to preserving his father's legacy, to protecting the thousands of employees who are part of the Moretti family, that's real. That's who he is. She felt Alessandro's hand find hers, squeezing gently. I'm asking you to look beyond the rumors, beyond the hostile takeover bids, and see what I see. A man worth believing in. The room erupted with questions. Sophia answered them all, her voice steady, her hand never leaving Alessandro's. That night, back at the penthouse, they stood by the windows, the city glowing below them. The board votes tomorrow, Alessandro said quietly. Elena thinks your speech made a difference. Good. He turned to her. Why did you do it? After everything I put you through, why would you risk yourself for me? She looked at him, this complicated, damaged man who'd entered her life as a villain and become something she couldn't quite define. Because I wanted to. Not because I had to, not because of a contract. Because I chose to. She paused. And because maybe Elena was right. Maybe what you feel isn't the only thing that's real. His eyes widened. Sophia, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her face paling. It was a news alert. A headline with her photo. Sophia Moretti's dark secret. Father's criminal past exposed. Carlson had made good on his threat. Alessandro read over her shoulder, his expression darkening with rage. I'll destroy him. But Sophia was already reading the article. Details of her father's gambling, the covered-up accident, his debts, everything laid bare for the world to see. I'm sorry, Alessandro whispered. This is my fault. She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. No, this is what sacrifice looks like, and I'd do it again. He pulled her into his arms, holding her as she finally broke, the weight of everything crashing down. The next morning, the board voted. Sophia waited in the penthouse, staring at her phone. When Alessandro walked through the door, his face was unreadable. Well? She asked. He crossed the room, dropping to his knees in front of her, taking her hands. I won, he said. By 2 votes. Because of you. She exhaled, relief flooding through her. But that's not why I'm on my knees, he continued, his voice shaking. I'm here because I need to ask you something. And this time I'm not hiding behind contracts or lies or revenge. He looked up at her, his slate blue eyes filled with everything he'd never said. Sophia Bennett Moretti, will you stay married to me? Not because you have to, not because of a deal, but because you want to, because you choose me, flaws and all. She stared at him, her heart pounding. This broken, beautiful man who'd destroyed her world and then fought to rebuild it. Ask me tomorrow, she whispered, after we've both had time to be sure. He nodded, pressing his forehead to her hands. Tomorrow, then. But tomorrow would bring a revelation neither of them expected. Morning light streamed through the penthouse windows, casting gold across the marble floors. Sophia woke to find Alessandro already awake, sitting by the window with a cup of coffee, staring at the city. He looked like a man preparing for war. You're up early, she said, her voice still rough with sleep. He turned, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. Not the calculating CEO she'd first met, not the broken man who'd knelt before her yesterday. This was something raw, something real. I've been thinking about what you said, about asking you tomorrow. He set down his coffee and crossed to her, and I realized something. I've been asking the wrong question. She sat up, heart hammering. What do you mean? I asked if you'd stay married to me, but that's still about me, my needs, my wants. He knelt beside the bed, taking her hands. The real question is, what do you want, Sophia? Not what your father wanted, not what I manipulated you into. What does Sophia Bennett want for her life? Tears pricked her eyes. No one had asked her that, not once in this entire nightmare. I don't know anymore, she whispered. I wanted my art studio. I wanted freedom. I wanted to matter to someone, not as a debt or a deal, but as myself. Then take it, he said fiercely. I'll give you the money to open your studio. I'll sign divorce papers today if that's what you want. I'll disappear from your life completely. Whatever you need to be free, it's yours. She stared at him, shocked. You'd let me go? I love you enough to, he said, his voice breaking. Even if it destroys me. Before she could respond, the doorbell rang. Alessandro's expression darkened. "I'm not expecting anyone." He went to answer it, Sophia following. Elena stood in the doorway, but she wasn't alone. Beside her was an older woman, late 60s, elegant in a navy suit. Her eyes were the same slate blue as Alessandro's. "Mama?" Alessandro's voice was barely above a whisper. "What are you doing here?" "Saving you from yourself," she said in accented English, stepping inside. Her gaze moved to Sophia, and meeting the girl who's turned my son's world upside down. They sat in the living room. Alessandro's mother, Valentina, accepted coffee, but her eyes never left Sophia. "Elena called me," Valentina said. "Told me about the takeover, the marriage, everything." She looked at her son. "Why didn't you tell me, Alessandro?" "Because I knew what you'd say," he replied, his jaw tight. "That I was letting revenge consume me. That I was becoming like the men we despise. And I would have been right." Valentina set down her cup. "But I also understand. Lucia's death nearly destroyed you. Your father's death finished what was left." She paused. "What I don't understand is why you're still punishing yourself." "I'm not. You married this girl to hurt her father, a man who took everything from us. But her father is dead now. The revenge is over. So why are you still holding on?" Valentina looked between them. "Unless it's not about revenge anymore." Sophia spoke for the first time. "Mrs. Moretti, your son has made mistakes. Terrible ones. But he's also shown me who he really is beneath the armor. He's loyal, passionate, and capable of change. The question isn't whether he deserves forgiveness. It's whether I'm strong enough to give it." Valentina smiled, something approving in her expression. "You have fire. Good. My son needs someone who won't let him hide." She stood, smoothing her skirt. "I'm staying in Toronto for a few days. I'd like to get to know you, Sophia, if you're willing." After Valentina left, Sophia and Alessandro stood in the silent penthouse. The weight of the moment pressed down on them. "Your mother is formidable," Sophia said. "She raised me alone after my father died. She had to be." Alessandro moved closer. "Sophia, about what I said earlier, I meant it. If you want to leave, I'll help you. No strings." She looked up at him. This man who'd been her captor, her tormentor, and somehow become her mirror. She saw his scars now, the ones that matched her own. "I don't want your help to leave," she said quietly. His face fell, resignation settling over his features. "I want your help to stay," she continued. "But not as your wife by contract. Not as a business arrangement or a second chance at revenge. If I stay, it's because we choose each other every single day. Because we build something real together." Hope flared in his eyes. "Are you saying I'm saying ask me again? The question from last night. Ask me now when we both know the truth." Alessandro took her hands, his grip warm and steady. "Sophia Bennett, will you stay married to me? Not because of contracts or debts or the past, but because we're better together than apart. Because I love you. And I want to spend every day proving I'm worthy of you." Tears spilled down her cheeks. She thought of the girl who'd signed her name in that registry office, terrified and alone. She thought of the woman she'd become, who'd stood before cameras and spoke truth to power, who'd learned that strength wasn't about being unbroken, it was about choosing to heal. "Yes," she whispered. "I'll stay, but on one condition. Anything. We start over. No more secrets, no more lies. We learn each other the right way, from the beginning. Can you do that?" "I can try," he said, pulling her close. "I'll probably fail sometimes. I'll make mistakes. But I'll never stop trying to be the man you deserve." She pressed her forehead to his. "I don't need perfect, Alessandro. I just need real." He kissed her then, gentle and reverent, like a promise written in breath and touch. When they pulled apart, the city stretched before them through the windows, full of possibility. "So what happens now?" she asked. "Now?" He smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. "Now we figure it out together. Your art studio, my business, building a life that belongs to both of us. Together," she repeated, the word tasting like freedom. 3 months later, Sophia stood in the renovated warehouse in Kensington Market, her art studio finally real. Paint-splattered floors, easels lined against brick walls, natural light pouring through skylights. It was everything she'd dreamed of. Alessandro walked in, carrying coffees, his tie loosened, sleeves rolled up. He looked at home here, among the creative chaos. "Your first class starts in an hour," he said, handing her a cup. "Nervous?" "Terrified," she admitted. "But the good kind." He kissed her temple. "You're going to be amazing." She looked up at him, this complicated man who'd entered her life as an enemy and become her partner. They weren't perfect. They still argued, still struggled with trust, still carried scars that would never fully heal. But they were real, and they had chosen each other. "Thank you," she said, "for this, for everything." "Thank you," he replied, "for not giving up on me when you had every reason to." As students began arriving, filling the studio with life and possibility, Sophia realized something. Her story hadn't ended that rainy day in the registry office. It had begun, and this time, she was writing it herself. The end.